Hey, so I just watched Arrival, and I don't really know what words are anymore. It was really good. I know it's been ages since I've made one of these. I have actually been sort of attempting to start different video projects, which never really got anywhere. But I figured, since I'm gonna watch this movie, hey, that's a sci-fi movie I've been wanting to see. Let's talk about it. So Arrival came out last year. It's one with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, and it's about like the aliens show up, and a lot of the story is about Amy Adams' character Louise, who is a linguist, trying to figure out how to communicate with them. And it's wild. Oh my god. I don't know what to say about it. My god. Alright. Just me sitting here in silence. It's just like 5 minutes of that, and it'll just be the YouTube video. No, wow. It was wow. There's the initial mystery is, what do the aliens want? And then how can we talk to them? How can we even express that question? But well, we find out, and by the end, it's just wow. Oh my goodness. So okay, spoilers time. The idea is that, okay, so there's this bit early-ish in the movie where Ian and Louise are talking about the theory that if you learn a language, it can sort of rewire your mind into thinking like the people who speak that language. Kind of. Like, I don't mean like suddenly you have the same opinions, but I mean like it's maybe almost sort of a way of conceptualizing reality, if that makes sense. Like, I imagine the differences in human language between different groups of humans wouldn't be huge, but they'd still be there. So they bring up this idea, and then by the end of the movie, it's clear that this is actually the case, with Louise at least. When she comes to understand the language, she can see the universe as they do, and this involves existing non-linear, kind of like a non-linear understanding of time. And I mean, it explains how basically the way that they communicate is to show these they almost look like coffee stains on a piece of paper, you know, these rings, and they can just form one, and it's the whole sentence. Like, when we talk, you might start a sentence without knowing how it's going to finish, but they would never do that because they show the entire sentence in like one symbol. So yeah, so when Louise starts thinking this way, she can sort of see the future. She can like remember things that haven't happened yet, and then you realize that that's actually been happening throughout the entire movie, because it's framed a little bit as a story. Like, it begins with her addressing her daughter and saying, you know, her birth to her death, because her daughter dies of some disease, and you know, and she's like, this was the beginning to the end, but this wasn't really the beginning. And by the end of the movie, she's like, this is the beginning, and you realize, oh my god, Jeremy Renner's character Ian is the scientist's dad that you've been hearing about in these what seemed to be flashbacks, but were actually flash forwards. And you realize that she actually hadn't, like, 'cause my assumption, of course, at the beginning, was that here she was teaching linguistics, blah, 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 and she had this sad backstory. Like, she had been married, she had this kid who died, and her husband had left, and whatever. So she had this whole sad backstory. And you find out, no, that hasn't happened yet. Like, because she has moments, like, there's this bit where she keeps remembering this girl, and she's like, who is this girl? at one point. She just says it, and it's like just this one line in a whole scene, and maybe you don't quite notice it, but I was like, wait, hang on. So it's like she knows what is going to happen, and she still does it, you know? And I'm just sitting there like, my God, I can't even imagine having a kid with the knowledge exactly of how that kid is going to die. But then I thought, well, I mean, we all know we're going to die, right? And yet we keep on living. So maybe it's not that incomprehensible. I don't know. You know, and we don't even know if anything good's going to come of it. She at least has kind of that foreknowledge that there's going to be a lot of very happy times. But yeah, oh my God. So that was Arrival. I know I've liked to talk about the sort of the science fiction aesthetic of movies. This one doesn't really have much because it's basically just set in kind of nebulously the modern day, you know. The alien ships are everything about the aliens is very alien and disconcerting. You know, they've got their spaceships are like these weird these pods that just sit there. They hang in the air, much to quote, paraphrase Douglas Adams, much like bricks don't. You know, it just looked wrong. And the aliens themselves are these big, like, almost octopus things. And they've got, like, 7 limbs or something, and these, like, starfish hands. And they make their coffee stain symbols with ink that they kind of squirt out of their hands, and oh my God. So that makes it sound ridiculous, but it's amazing. And the noises that they make too. So the whole thing is, it's a really good movie, and now that I've spoiled it for you, you should probably watch it. You're welcome.